Hi, this is Trisha Copeland. I am the author of the Kingdom Journals and Realm Chronicles series. I just finished the manuscript for the finale to the Realm Chronicles series. The title of the book will be To Be a Fae, and it features Queen Titania. If you're following the series, I'm super excited about that. And really what this means is that by next summer, July of 2025, that both the Kingdom Journals and Realm Chronicles series will be all wrapped up with a bow, and you will know everything there is to know about their worlds and their stories. One thing I did do in writing this finale is I did tons of research, and I realized I have all this information now sitting here. I don't have anything to do with it. So I did a lot of research on fantastical beings or creatures, and to make a long story short, they needed a spell, and for the spell they needed 12 different types of beings to enact or make the spell happen. So I had to do tons of research because I wanted something like really creative. I didn't want to do the same old, 12 is a lot. So yes, I needed more beings, more creatures, as you may call them, beings or creatures. I like calling them beings. Most of them are sentient beings. All of mine are, but not all the ones in this list are. And I put them in a couple of different categories. So what I'm going to talk about today is the water-dwelling fantasy beings. And then in another video, I'll do the winged fantasy beings, because there's a huge long list of these beings. The first one I wanted to talk about, two I want to talk about, is water beings that can transform into humans. So the Selkie and the Nyx are two types of beings that can transform into humans. The Selkie are seal shapeshifters, and they shed their fur to become humans and walk on land. These are from Celtic or Norse mythology, and the mythology says that if you steal their fur or their pelts, then you can bind them to you as well as to the land. So if they can't get back in their pelt, they can't get back to the water. So that is how you could trap a Selkie. I don't know if you'd want to, but that is a Selkie in a nutshell. A Nyx is a different kind of water being that can transform into a human. They're half human, half fish, look much like the mermaid. Unlike the mermaid, they can transform into human form. Their human form doesn't look exactly like us. Their skin may have like a bluish green tinge. It may be kind of shiny with a sheen, and they're gonna have slanted eyes and the pointy ears, more like you see maybe an elf or a fae does. So that is the Nyx, and they are from German mythology or lore. Now, if we transfer over to the water beings that can't shapeshift or morph into humans, we have the mermaids, which many people are familiar with, and the sirens, which are very similar creatures or beings. Mermaids don't have to be female. We've seen a lot of men or mer boys, so I like to call them merfolk. So the mermaids, and those live in the oceans. Actually, the Selkie and the Nyx both live in the oceans. The Nyx will have very elaborate underground palaces, and I like to imagine that they have underground cities. The mermaids also live in the oceans, as well as the sirens live in the oceans. The sirens do have the ability to lure someone with their song, so that is something that differentiates them from the mermaids. Sometimes the mermaids are depicted that way, but almost all cases the sirens are depicted that way. Interestingly enough, in literature, like in Homer's Odyssey, the sirens are described as being half bird-like, half woman-like creatures, instead of like the mermaid form that we see them in now, mostly in books or movies. So that was an interesting variation, I guess, that we've morphed the siren into more of a mermaid-like form. The next one that I found really interesting, I hadn't heard of before, is the Kelpie. And the Kelpie is from Celtic lore, and it's a horse-like creature that has also like the front feet are more like fins of a fish, and these are kind of evil beings. They will capture and drown their victims before they eat them. So they're not something that you want to come across. And they're more in the swamps and the bogs and the lakes of Northern Europe. The British Isles mostly. And so those are kind of freaky beings in my opinion, and you don't really want to run across one. Another interesting being is the rusalka, and these are from Slavic mythology. They're basically a water ghost. They're in a human form, but they're ghostly like, and they're gonna live in the water as well, and they lure their beings into the water and drown them so you don't, or not, they lure their victims, I guess, into the water. So you don't really want to run across those either. It seems like a lot of these were created to scare people from going in the water, because obviously if you don't know how to swim, then you would drown, or if it was too deep, then you would drown. So I think a lot of these were meant to scare people into not going into the water. Sometimes the water could be unhealthy, probably. So another being is the Borda from Italian mythology, and these are witch-like creatures that live near marshes or swamps or bogs, and you're going to find them a lot of times when it's very foggy. If you hop over the ocean to Central America, then the Aztec weasel is a water demon dog-like creature, and the hands and feet of these creatures are like monkeys. So it's gonna look sort of like a dog, but then with hands and feet of monkeys, and a lot of times it's depicted with a hand or a monkey hand on the end of its tail as well. And so those are interesting creatures. They're also depicted as demons, so kind of scary, and maybe were created to keep people from going in the water. A Grindylow is a water demon that was from, like, I guess, Celtic lore in England, like near Yorkshire and Lancaster. And these are also going to be in the freshwater, small ponds, bogs, swamps, marshes. And they have like really big mouths with lots of sharp teeth, but then like appendages of octopus and suckers on the end of their appendages. The Zimkabaru is from the Songhai people, and that is a water, it might be a spirit. I think it's more like a spirit, not really like a water god, but it's a water spirit that has a human form but lives in the Niger River. It can command fish, and it was kind of, not really sure what kind of interaction they have with people, but yeah, so that was an interesting one from African lore mythology of the Songhai people, and that's again was the Zinkabaru. So those are all really fun creatures that one could include in a story or a fantasy, or anything you're thinking to do with art. I do have a blog post on these water-dwelling fantastical creatures, and in the blog post it has like a lot of bonuses, so it tells you all the descriptions, it gives some pictures, and also I have where to find them, so what regions or areas to find them based on their history. I have what to expect if you find one and you talk to one, and then I also have what to look out for, because not all these beings are friendly to humans, so you might want to watch out and have some different tools or tricks if you want to meet up with one. Sometimes I say you're going character or creature hunting, but I don't mean like you're going to hunt them like you're going to hunt them to hurt them or kill them. You're hunting them to find them, like searching for them. So I hope this was a great overview to my research on fantasy creatures that live in water, or water-dwelling fantasy creatures, and I will be back with my winged fantasy creatures. Bye.